How are these German companies able to produce such remarkable pieces of technology, and how come they are still considered industry standards by professionals across the globe? Was Hitler really behind this? To answer that, we'll have to go back in time. After the First World War, radio was the newest and most exciting technology. Even though radio waves were first identified and studied by German physicist Heinrich Hertz in 1886, the ones leading the race of building broadcast and infrastructure were the Americans and the British. But things suddenly changed in the year 1933 when the European political landscape got shaken by Adolf Hitler's rise to power. That same year, Joseph Goebbels was appointed by Hitler as head of the newly created Ministry of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda. His mission was simple: to increase popular support for the party at whatever the cost. Goebbels understood very well that to manipulate Germany's middle class and shape popular opinion, the Nazi Party needed to centralize and control all aspects of German culture and intellectual life. This process was called Gleichschaltung, later translated as Nazification of the state and society. One of those key institutions was radio broadcasting. All radio stations were nationalized and supervised under the German National Broadcasting Corporation, controlled by the propaganda ministry. Radio manufacturers were instructed by Goebbels to produce inexpensive home receivers, and in a few years, millions of them flooded the market. Sometimes they were distributed for free to the people, and I quote, special dates like Goebbels' birthday. Loudspeakers were placed in public areas, factories, and schools so that important party broadcasts would be heard live by nearly all Germans. Now that the whole country could listen to them, they needed to master the recording technology so that their message could come across in the clearest possible way. Consequently, the Nazi Party masterminded by Goebbels focused all of their efforts and pushed the whole industry towards that ultimate goal. That was the motor that drove Germany to reach for new standards and technology. Every single company that could contribute in any way to their interests was classified by the party as important to the rearmament effort, centralized and nationalized. Another key element was that manufacturers who previously had to outsource parts from the open market were now intrinsically connected. Engineers from electronics giants AEG worked together with chemical producer IG Farben and the National Broadcasting Corporation to perfect a relatively new but very promising new way of recording the magnetic tape. After years of research, engineer Walter Weber from AEG discovered a new phenomenon called AC bias. Introducing ultra-high frequencies into the record circuit gave the recording more stability and accuracy by controlling the oscillation of the magnetic field. The results in almost flat frequency response, a dynamic range of close to 65 decibels with less than 3% distortion. It simply became the best recording technology in the world. Another very important instrument for the propaganda machine were microphones. The Neumann CMV-3, also known as Hitler's bottle, was used at almost all major speeches by the National Socialist ministers and politicians. At the Olympic Games in Berlin 1936, the microphone passed its test in front of a large audience, and after the start of the war, Neumann's microphones and thus his company were classified by the Nazis as important to the war effort and given unlimited discretionary budget for research and development. So if you ever wonder why Germans' electronics devices after the Second World War were so perfectly designed and engineered and built with military-grade components, this might answer that question. The end was nefarious, but the products are still unmatched.